think I'm crazy.
Have to mind those big rocks.
But I feel her. I hear her heartbeat. She's so close.
So what does her heartbeat sound like?
Mighty.
Are you ready to head back to Pandora? Well, I hope you are, because it's been 13 years since the last Avatar movie, and seeing how James Cameron has been hyping this movie up for so long, we're finally heading back there to see what happens in James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water, this week on Talking About the Movies. It's another edition of Talking About the Movies, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, we finally got an Avatar 2. It took 13 years, even though it seemed like over 800 years at this point, because holy mother of God, the build-up for this movie, it's, you know, we've talked about this movie so long, whether or not it was actually going to get made or not, and I was questioning it too. I was really thinking to myself, there's no way this movie is ever going to get made. This is a movie that just, like, feels like, it felt like the Duke Nukem Forever of sequels. I pretty much made the jokes about it all the time, about it being the Duke Nukem Forever of sequels. Like, we'd get something promising in terms of, like, news about it, and it would just keep getting pushed back, and then the thought was that when this movie finally came out, it was not going to live up to the hype that the movie had been promising us for so many years. Just like Duke Nukem Forever, it was a game that started out in 1996 and didn't come out until 15 years later, and what we got there was just one of the worst video games of all time, and the thing that essentially killed the Duke Nukem franchise. So I thought that was going to be the same thing with Avatar: The Way of Water, but everyone was telling me, don't deny the power of James Cameron. James Cameron is a god amongst movies. Look at what he did with other sequels, Aliens, Terminator 2, which, yes, they're great sequels, but this is something that he's been working on ever since the first movie came out, and he's been hyping it up for so long, talking about the need to develop new technology in order to make it work, which led to a whole bunch of delays so everybody could get this together. And really going into this movie, I had no idea that this movie could even come close to really delivering on the promises that it could have had. I was waiting for this movie to come out and be, at the very most, a decent film, but I was expecting a movie that wasn't very good. I think a lot of people were really expecting that, but needless to say, 13 years have passed, we've gotten older, we've gotten wiser, and we finally have a movie out, and I'm one of those people that says that once Disney bought Fox, that made me believe more that they were still actually coming. It was kind of like what happened with the Avengers back when Disney bought the rights to Marvel. Like, before then, not a lot of people thought they were actually going to do an Avengers movie because it'd be too expensive with Paramount. But sure enough, when Disney bought Marvel, that changed around, and I kind of felt the same way with Avatar. I thought for the longest time they were never going to get these sequels done at 20th Century Fox. It wasn't until Disney bought Fox when I started to realize that, okay, maybe there's a chance that these actually come out now. And like I said, I've had, what are we up to now? About 3 minutes of build-up right now. But so it's here. I finally have seen it, and I will say this: James Cameron, it was worth the wait. I mean, it wasn't perfect. There's still a ton of flaws to the movie, but I'll give you credit, man. You really sold this movie, and you made us wait for this, and it was indeed worth it. Like, the best thing I can say about this particular movie is that the visual effects, the technical achievements they do here, the technology they had to build to make this work, the scenes, capturing these scenes underwater with the performance capture technology, it was more than worth it because it's very impressive to look at. I saw this in Cinemark XD, which granted, it's not the best way to see this movie. If you got an IMAX theater nearby, this is probably the best way to experience it. But even on a Cinemark XD screen, but yeah, on a Cinemark XD screen, it definitely works. Like, you could definitely tell the effort was put in there, and it really does show on screen. Like, that's the best aspect of this movie, is that the visuals in this movie are still really impressive to look at. You do get invested in this unique world that they build, and it just works so well. Like, I think that's easily the best thing about this movie. Talking about some other positives here, I do like that the characters have matured in here. Like Sam Worthington, it's been a few years since we've actually seen Sam Worthington do anything of noteworthiness, because he really didn't do a whole lot. I think the only thing he did after this was the Clash of the Titans movies, which were terrible movies. But yeah, since then he hasn't really done a whole lot. So I was curious to see what it would be like in this movie, and he was pretty good in this movie. I liked that his character did mature, and I liked that his character did connect more with the family and the people that the Navi, the other characters that they had to meet up with, the recumbents. Zoe Saldana I thought was very good here as well. The cast overall is pretty good. The one that I was really concerned about was Sigourney Weaver playing the daughter of Jake and now I can't remember how to pronounce her name. Jake and Neytiri. Neytiri is the name I was thinking of, and that was the one I was really interested about, because it could definitely go either way. It could either be really awkward and really bad, but it could also be kind of good. And in a way, it was kind of good. I was actually pleasantly surprised by Weaver's performance in there, because clearly, I mean, obviously, she's an older woman, but she's playing this teenager, and my thought was, how are you supposed to make this work? And, I mean, honestly, she did make it work. I really thought she did a good job with the role, and her story arc was one of the more interesting things about the movie to me. Stephen Lang playing the villain, which, like I said before in my written review, in the post I wrote a couple of days ago, Stephen Lang's basically played a villain like something out of Atlantis, where they go to this strange world, and this strange world, this unique world, and they're only there for greed. And I thought that was going to be the same thing again, bringing him back in there. But I'll give him credit though. Stephen Lang's a great actor. Go check out the Don't Breathe movies if you really want to see that. But I thought he really was one of the strongest antagonists of the movie. He was the strongest antagonist because, yeah, he's pretty much the same person he was in the last movie, but he's gotten wiser, and the fact that he has to be able to work his way around things this time around to actually get what he wants. And I thought that was probably one of the more interesting aspects of his character in there. Plus, he certainly beats the crap out of the other antagonists they have in here. I'll get to that in a moment, because that's part of the weaknesses of the movie. But yeah, like I said, the cast is very good. The visuals overall are very impressive, and it really is something you need to see on a big screen. In terms of the negatives, there are some notable negatives. Most of all, I think the story isn't all that good. It's not necessarily a cut and paste type of story. It's not the same. It comes so close to being a rehash of the first movie, but it doesn't do it all the way through. You still have the characters have to learn this new environment that they end up going into, and it can get really. And there are a lot of cliches that we've seen done over and over again in various movies that really are tiresome. They are very tiresome. Like, I'm so sick and tired of the bully characters, and it's like the bully characters. Like, you think that it's like they have to get the Jake's kids have to get along with these new kids, and they got to be little jerks at first. And I mean, I get you have to move the story along, but that got really annoying really fast. Again, the basic idea is that the main villains of the movie are just going in there for greedy purposes. It's something we've seen done before. Like, what I wanted to see from the sequel more, I wanted them to explore this world of Pandora more, and really, I think you need to do that I think you really need to do that if you're going to expand this series to 5 films, which they're doing. I mean, 5 Avatar sequels, and so far there isn't really a whole lot there to expand the story on just yet. Maybe with the next film they'll finally do it, but yeah, like I said, there wasn't really anything that really convinced me that this story needed to continue into another movie, because it was basically almost a retread of the first movie for the most part. Now, there are some cliches that I thought they were going to do, but they don't really do, and even if they do, they kind of just glance over it at first, which I'm glad that's the case. But I mean, probably the weakest aspect of the whole movie is the fact that the new villains are just so annoying. Basically what happens in this movie is that they come across these marine biologists who are just not, they're not interesting characters at all. Like, they're not very good characters. They're only there for one specific reason, and that is to just be assholes and just be evil whalers, because clearly that's something that we need to add into the mix here. And they were just not enjoyable characters. There was nothing about them that worked at all. And in fact, most of the new humans they bring into here, like Edie Falco plays a general in this movie, and I didn't know it was her at first. And God bless Edie Falco; she's a great actress on The Sopranos, and we've seen her in other great movies. He's in TV shows. Watch her in the Law and Order miniseries about the Menendez murder. She's great in that. But man, her role in this was completely pointless. Like, I really had no reason to believe that she was an important aspect of the story whatsoever. And sure enough, it doesn't really feel that way. And like I said, the marine biologist subplot was just, I mean, it just doesn't work. It's not exciting at all. It's not intriguing whatsoever. It just doesn't work on any level. And it was so annoying every time they came back on screen. And it's just like, once they finally get killed off, because they do get killed off in various ways, it was just like, thank God. I mean, come on. I mean, get to the real stuff here that we want to see. And granted, the runtime was a little bit long too. Like, 3 hours and 10 minutes for a story like this is a little much. Like, this isn't Titanic, even though the third act is kind of like the Avatar equivalent of Titanic, because it takes place on a sinking ship. But just like, there was stuff in there that you could have easily cut down, easily. And while I'm not expecting like but I mean, I guess their attempt to try to make this an epic movie, I'll give them credit for that. But but like I said, it needed a better script to really warrant that lengthy runtime. And who knows? Like I said, in the next couple of movies, maybe they'll find a way to shorten the story down a little bit more. Make the story make more sense. But I mean, you got Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, who also did the Planet of the Apes trilogy, the recent ones, and those were fantastic movies. And I mean, do something like that for the next couple of movies. Do something different. Do something different to make me believe that this series deserves to be more than what you're making it out to be. Like, there are a lot of moments in this movie that feel like absolute filler, like the fact that the Colonel, the Stephen Lang character, he kidnaps Jake's kids not once, not twice, but 3 times in this movie, and every single time, it's like, the first time, okay, second time, again, fine, but by the third time they did it, it's just like, come on, man, now you're just trying to expand this runtime out here. I also didn't get the whole. I also really didn't understand what they were trying to do at the end, like with the Stephen Lang character, because there's another character in here, a human character named Spider, who I guess that Spider is the son of the Colonel Colonel here, and they're trying to have the story in between where he's trying to get him to join him on the side, which will probably be something that'll be eventually brought back into the next movie, because again, we can't like they don't kill the bad guy in this one, unlike the last movie. So he's gonna come back at some point. So that was kind of pointless, but so yeah, it's a very mixed bag of a movie, at least story wise. But on a visual level, it looks incredible. This is something that you should see on a screen just for the visuals alone. It's more than worth it for that. I just wish that these movies would have a better writing to them, and just make me think give me a reason why I should be continuing on with the series as you keep going on to these other sequels that we've got coming, which are definitely coming now. So, overall, I did enjoy the movie. I would say I enjoyed it a little bit more than the other film, because with the original Avatar, I had kind of the same problems, but I thought they did a better job in terms of maturing the characters up a bit, having these visuals really stick out more. So, on that level, I kind of give it the same kind of a little bit better than the original film that I did for something like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which I liked a little bit more than the original Black Panther, and I love the original Black Panther, but I mean, those movies are on a completely different level. But again, this is a movie that I think is a little bit better than the original, not by a whole lot, but it is a little bit better. If the script had been much tighter, if there had been a reason for the lengthy runtime, if there had been better characters, better villains, I really would have loved this movie, which I do like it. I just don't love it. I think it is one of the stronger movies of the year solely because of the visuals. The visuals are what keep this movie going all the way through. And like I said, it's best to see it on the biggest screen possible. I am going to give this movie a thumbs up. I do really enjoy the movie a lot. It might be, I'm not really sure. At first I thought maybe this could be one of the best movies of the year, but maybe bottom of the best of the year list, or even an honorable mention, because the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the things I really didn't like about it, the more I would say that it is better than the original movie by a little bit, but I don't know. Like, I feel like it's going to have that same kind of lengthy impact that the first movie did, where it doesn't seem like it had an impact at first, but once you see the fact that Avatar now has a theme park and attraction in Animal Kingdom and all that, maybe the original film did leave a little bit of an impact, but maybe not as much as they wanted to. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. I liked it a little bit more than the original film. One thing I did want to bring up, though, considering that this is the first movie in the Avatar series without James Horner at the score, because of course James Horner passed away in 2015, I believe. Simon Franklin, I've honestly never heard of him. I'm pretty sure he's done some music for movies or shows I've seen before. Let me just see here, just to make sure. I mean, okay. That makes more sense because he has worked with James Cameron in the past on films like Avatar, and then he was the producer on the song from Titanic, "My Heart Will Go On." He's done stuff like Seven, The Amazing Spider-Man, The Magnificent Seven, Skyfall, and Spectre. So maybe he is. I definitely have. That's one of those names where I've definitely heard of him before. Have never heard of him before, but I know his music and I don't even know about it. I thought he did a pretty good job filling in as the main composer for this. I think he has a decent chance to have a good scoring career if this pans out for him. So I wanted to bring that up real quick. But overall, like I said, Avatar: The Way of Water, I like it a little bit better than the original film. I still think it has a ton of flaws to it, but on the whole, I did really enjoy it for what it is. I'd say go see it on the biggest screen possible to see the visual effects for it. But it is worth it. It is worth it just for the visuals and also the maturity of the characters alone. I think that's what really sticks it out the most. It's a really good film. It could have been a great film, but it's a really solid film, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out again pretty soon to see if it still holds up on repeat viewing. So that's my thoughts on Avatar: The Way of Water. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. So with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. So thank you for watching, and until then, take care.